Hello, and welcome to this webinar on AP 2019 resources and all of the new tools and supports that are available for AP teachers and students for the 2019-20 school year. My name is Claire Lorenz. I'm the Senior Director of AP Instruction here at the College Board, and we want to thank the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals for their partnership in recording this webinar today and getting it out to teachers. So I'm going to switch over just very briefly and show you a couple of things in AP Classroom itself. We get a question all the time, how do I even get there? How do I start? And I want to show you a couple of things. So one thing you could do is you could go to AP Central if you're used to going there for all of your AP needs, and you will see on the home page there is this big blue banner telling you about AP Classroom. If you click Sign In, it will take you directly to the AP Classroom sign-in page. You could alternatively go directly to the AP Classroom sign-in page, which is myap.collegeboard.org. And it again will take you to this page. And still even more, you could Google AP Classroom and click on the first link that comes up and it will take you to that page. So all of those ways will get you to AP Classroom. You're going to want to use your College Board educator professional login here and your password. This is mine. I'm going to click Submit, and that is going to take me to what's called My AP. And My AP is kind of your one-stop digital shop. Just like the CED is your one-stop print shop, this is your one-stop digital shop. A lot of folks don't spend a lot of time here, but I did want to show you a couple of things. One of the things we hear from AP teachers is that AP has a lot of awesome stuff, but it's often difficult to find, and hence they resort to Googling things. We hear people all of the time saying that if they need the AP course audit, for example, they will just Google AP course audit. So we've tried to do a better job of organizing the things that are available to you. And so these navigation things at the top will actually give you everything you need to know about AP in general, everything from starting and growing AP, things about our AP Scholar Awards. You'll be able to go directly to your course and exam homepage on AP Central if you needed to. You need to order that CED. There's the order form. Audit is here, exam dates and fees are here. We've linked you to where you can get your online scores. There's information here on professional development. There's a link to the teacher community, becoming an AP reader, finding a workshop. The same set of or highlights of this information is also at the very bottom of this page, and you can see that we have tiles that indicate all of the things that we know teachers search for the most. AP Classroom, course audit, teacher community, search for professional development workshops. So we try to, again, make it a one-stop shop. This timeline on the top is going to show you not only College Board important deadlines, but also any assignments you may have assigned to your students. So you can see here I was playing around with my biology course, and I have 2 different assignments that were due here. You can expand this view and see a full list, and I can see I also had something for my United States Government and Politics class here. When things are due, you can see it was all the way back in September. I had something here, and then here's November 1st, and then also when all of the exams are. So you can find out quite a bit here. Underneath, you're going to see a list of all of the courses that you are course authorized in your section here. You can access AP Classroom through clicking. You can see here I have AP Biology, I have a period 1, I have a period 2, I have a period 7, and I can click AP Classroom and it will take me directly to AP Classroom for my biology students. So it's logging me in. Um, a couple of things you're going to see here right off the bat. If you're anything like me, you may not pay any attention to help menus, but I'm going to start here because I obviously can't talk about everything in the amount of time that we have. So I'm going to show you how you might be able to find information on your own. And one of the most helpful things is this help menu. This help menu, if you click here, is very slim, but there's a lot of awesome things here. There is a list of frequently asked questions. So if you click here, it will bring up a separate document. It will tell you everything on how to get access, to how students get access, general AP Classroom questions, setting up class sections, what's a topic question, how do I use my unit guides, personal progress checks, how do I use the progress dashboard, the question bank. There are a lot of questions here. If you click a question, it will take you exactly to that point in the document, so you don't have to scroll all the way through. We've tried to catalog a lot of the most frequently asked questions here, so feel free to check before you try contacting customer service. You may actually get a faster answer this way. That said, there's also an educator guide here, a teacher guide to using AP Classroom. We keep it as updated as we possibly can. You can see this one is actually current as of only a few days ago. And anytime we make an update to the system or there's a new feature that rolls out, we incorporate that here. And again, you can click on a certain part of the table of contents and jump to that page. But I would strongly suggest that you scroll through because you will see that there are annotated screenshots. So if you're afraid to click somewhere, and you shouldn't be, but if you're nervous about clicking somewhere because you don't want to mess up your students' data, you can refer to these documents and they will show you exactly where you can navigate to on the screen and what that button actually does. And we've also made this for students so that there is a version for students as well. So if students are having a hard time navigating, we've shown them some images from like a cell phone. We've shown them others from a computer so they can see what it looks like. There are tutorials. So if you click on the tutorials, you can see that there's everything from just an overview of the system, using the question bank, using the progress dashboard, assigning progress checks. These are not mandatory for you to watch, but if it's helpful for you to navigate them, we encourage you to look at these. And oops. Sometimes we get logged out. Okay. And then finally, I'll say from the help menu, there is this contact us form. And this contact us form goes directly to our tech team that is responsible for maintaining this platform. So if you're getting an error message or a wheel that constantly spins or something just doesn't seem right to you, you can fill this out and know that it will go directly to the folks who are in charge of troubleshooting the system, and someone from that team will reach out with a response to your inquiry. It may take a couple of days. I know that they receive a lot of inquiries, but I know that the wait time is getting faster as teachers get more acclimated to the system. So you'll also see this class progress screen. I can navigate between or among all of my sections. You can see I'm spent a lot of time with period 1 here. You also will see all of my course unit tabs. The course tab will have any specific course resources that we've made available. In most courses, you may only see the course and exam description here, but for science teachers and other teachers of courses like U.S. government politics, where we have the analytical reading activities, or physics, where we have our Physics 1 student workbook, there are other course level resources available for the course. You may see them here. So you can see that I have the AP Biology Teacher Lab Manual, if I want to know what that looks like. It used to be that you would have to get this behind the course audit, but since you have to sign into AP Classroom, we've made it available here as well. You can print out a singular lab for your students. If I wanted to bring up this one on diffusion and osmosis, I can print that out for students and give it to them there. I can also share it digitally with students, so it comes up on their AP Classroom. I would click here. I would say I want to share with period 1. And I can click save, and now when students in period 1 log in, they'll be able to see this as a course level resource. I can share it one lab at a time, or I can share the whole lab manual with them. Again, not every course will have these, and anything that doesn't have a share next to it, students will be able to see all of the time. Anything that's listed as a teacher resource, they cannot see at all. So we'll look at this a little bit more. Let's say I'm over here in Unit 3. We talked about before about all of the different things that you'll notice. This aligns directly with the unit guide for biology. So if I didn't remember what that looked like, I could bring up the unit guide, and it will give me the whole unit guide for Unit 3. I can scroll down and I can see here's my unit at a glance. I know that it was enzyme structure and skill 1B, which is explain biological concepts. If I go back here, you'll see enzyme structure. If I didn't know what this was, I can click on it. It's going to tell me the name of the skill. If I only wanted to see what is actually the required content here that I have to teach, I can click on enzyme structure. It's going to take me to the unit guide already queued up to that page, so I can read the required content right away without having to do a lot of scrolling. And again, this is 3.1, Unit 3, first topic, so 3.1 and 1B. If I click on topic questions here, it's going to pre-filter for 3.1 and 1B and the formative questions. So I know these are the ones that are meant to be given at this point in the year, and I can see that they're all aligned. Watch what happens here if I take this away. All of a sudden I get an extra question, but I can see that this FRQ is hooked with 3.1 and 3.2, and it's 1A and 1B. So I've most likely taught 1A before, but if I haven't taught 3.2, I know I'm not ready for this question yet. Maybe I decided I want summative questions, and I don't care what skill it is, and maybe you sorted like this. Well, this would be the type of thing where I would want to look at and say, all right, this FRQ actually deals with topic 1.5 and 3.1. That would be interesting for me to give. Technically, if I've gone in order, right, my students will have covered 1.5 and we've covered 3.1, and hopefully we've done skill 1A. But this question, my students are probably not ready for. We've happened to have covered 4.2 at this point in the school year, and maybe I'm not ready for this one yet either. So these are the types of decisions that you have to make as you are navigating from one screen to the next. But the idea here is like, so let's say I'm in 3.2. And I want to make a quiz here. And I have, let's say I'm going to use this as some sort of like homework assignment. So let's say I want to preview the question. Ooh, maybe I don't want to do this one because it seems like a lot of interpretation of a chart, so I don't know. Seems like that's probably the theme, depending on what 1C actually is. So maybe I want this question, and maybe I want this question, and I'm going to keep moving on here. We'll give them a graph question. So let's say I'm going to use these 3 questions, and I've added them to a quiz. I saw I used the add button. I could have used the add button here. I can move these questions around. So you can see this gelatin digesting enzymes. I can move it down Now it's number 2. I can move it down again. Now it's number 3. I can get rid of a question if I want by hitting this X. But at some point, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to name this, and I'm going to have to say this is Unit 3. Let's say I say it's homework number 2 because it's in the second topic. I'm going to click Save Quiz. And now I want to assign it. So let's say I assign it, and I'm only going to assign it to period 1. I'm going to assign it, let's say, as a print test. I'm allowed to do that because it's their topic questions and it's not a progress check. So I can turn this on, and I can click Assign here. That is going to bring up this screen. And in order for me to get the actual printable PDF, I'm going to have to click on this here that says View Textbooks. It's going to bring up a PDF that's downloaded for me. I'm going to click here, and you can see right away that I have those 3 questions here. We've heard in the past that there are some issues with like spacing. Our teams have done some work with that, so hopefully you won't see giant pictures. Everything is a little bit better spaced than what it might have been in the past, so hopefully you'll be able to navigate that. Now let's say I changed my mind and I don't want to give it on paper because I don't want to enter scores for students. I don't want to have to sit here and say, Cecil put an A for this and a B for this and a C for that. I don't want to do that, right? I want students to be able to get their rationales right away. And the best way for me to do that is to give the topic questions online. So if I click this little gear, it'll take me back to like the assign screen, and I can turn this switch off. And then I'll say, I'm going to unlock this now. I could tell students it's assigned today. Maybe I'm not going to make a due date because I had a couple of students absent and I want them to be able to take it when they come back. Or I could say this is due tomorrow at by midnight, or tomorrow by 3 p.m. Or you can set an individual just time limit here. I hit update. It will now unlock this. And I'm going to generate some data here so that you can see what this will look like. Obviously, you'll have your students actually take the exam. But let's say it's the next day, 18 out of 20 students have actually done this. I'll be able to see which 18 have actually completed it. I can write individual feedback for students if I wanted to. But students will be able to see their own feedback, and I can see their results. So if I go to results, I'll be able to say, okay, this was Unit 3, Homework 2. I gave it to Period 1. This is my overall student performance. I can see on average they're getting 1 out of 3 questions correct. If I click here, I will see which students did not do the assignment, how many students scored 0 out of 3, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3, and who those students actually are. If I click on an actual student, it will bring me that student results. So I can see Steve Edelman here got question 1 and question 3 correct, but not question 2. I can then go back to all students. And I can, actually, let's go back to here. Before I was clicking here, you can also click on the actual assignment, and it will show you results by question. And it will also show you results by student, so I can look for any trends. If I go back to questions and I click on the question, I can see what the correct answer was and the rationales. I can click on this little person. It will tell me exactly which students and how they did overall. One of the nice things about this view is it tells me this. I know most students got this question correct. But I also know that the 7 students who got it incorrect at least knew that C wasn't the answer. So I may want to unpack with them, like, how did they know that C was not the answer, but why did they think that D, let's say, was the answer? And so we can help target specific misunderstandings. I don't want to just explain why A is the answer. I want to be able to explain, what was it about D that you misunderstood, or what is it about the question or the content that, or the skill that you misunderstood that caused you to pick D? And the rationale here hints at what the student might have misunderstood, so it can help you as a teacher figure out why a student may have picked this. You can also navigate between questions here, so you can see how students are doing. You can also say, let's say I figured out that the problem was not the content, but the skill. After having spoken with students and really unpacked the data, I can go back here, click, and I will get every single question in the question bank that is hooked to skill 3C. If I only want formative questions, I would have to search for formative, and you can see that 43 now went back down to 13. And maybe I want to look at, say, okay, I've taught 3.2. Everything else here is after 3.2, but now I know I'm going to see it again in 3.5, 3.6. I want to pay attention. Next time I get to these topics, I'm going to have to hone in a little bit more on this skill. Or when I get to 4.6 or 4.7, I'm going to want to make sure that students are really honing in on this skill. You'll see it again in 8.1, where it looks like there's a direct correlation to skill 3C. So it will also tell you where this will come up again, as will the CED, of course, but you'll be able to see exactly how you will be able to target the skill in the future, because you'll know where it will come up again. Okay. If I go back to the home page, you'll see here, and you can see this added my Unit 3 progress up here, so I know how students are doing. It'll add it to my chart. This will not hold every single assignment you've ever assigned. It usually gives the last 5 or 6 that were assigned. If you want to see a full list of all of your assessments that came from the question bank, either topic questions or summative questions, you would click on question bank and go directly to results, and that will give you everything that you've ever assigned here. I'll spend a couple of seconds talking about progress checks. Here's the progress check for Unit 3. I can click down here and I can open it. There gives me a note until students don't have access until I've opened it for them. I'm going to assign it to period 1. I'm going to unlock it. You're going to see that this is multiple choice, so there's no option for me to print. Let's say I want to give this during class and I have a 45-minute class period. I can literally type 45 there, or I can up and down here. I update. You can see it becomes unlocked. Okay, you may say, okay, what do I do next? Well, you could click on MCQ itself, and that will preview this for you. You can actually now click on the question details, and you can actually see for yourself what the rationales are before you assign the progress check. Couldn't do at the beginning of the school year, but you can do now, and you can look at all of the individual big ideas and learning objectives that are in play. You can also look at a full scoring guide for the progress check. There's a couple of questions here, so it may take a little bit longer, but I can see what all the questions will be and what the answers are ahead of time. No rationales on the answers key, but it will tell you all the questions in one place. I can close this, and I can go directly to progress checks. And I know I opened MCQ 3. So if I go over to progress, I can see that MCQ 3 was opened for my period 1. If I want to look at their progress, I can go here. It tells me none of my students have started yet. If I gave this during class, I could click Manage Live Test Session, and will actually show me if my student has started, or if he's in progress, or if she's submitted. I can also pause. So let's say I'm giving this during class and there's a fire drill. I can pause student progress so that the timing does not count down while we are outside being safe. And I can then resume when we get back. I can also extend time for particular students. So I can click on a particular student and then say how much longer I want to be able to give them. So if you have students with IEPs or 504 plans, they're entitled to extra time. You'll be able to provide that here. I'm going to click out of this, and the rest of it works the same. So let's say I had 19 students out of 20 that finished my progress check in 45 minutes. We had one student who was absent, let's say. I'll be able to go over to the results. Here is my progress check. So sometimes this happens where it won't necessarily all come up at the same time. Like we get folks saying that there's a little bit of a lag in results, and that does sometimes happen, and it's okay. I promise you that it will come back. But if I click here, I can go directly into this. And the really nice thing about the progress check is that it will give me this breakdown by topic and skill. And so I can sort by topic, I can sort by skill. So one of the things I can see here is like there were two topics on that use skill 6C, and students did not do well here. I can actually see how they did on all of the questions across and which questions it actually refers to. You can see here the same thing, which questions it actually refers to. And I may make the deduction here that the skill is actually the problem and not the content, because we're applying the skill in the same way to different pieces of content. But I can also dig in here by clicking on a particular question and seeing what else did students do. And this is a nice example of where I know what the right answer is. I know that most of my students got it wrong, but these 5 students, everybody at least knew that A was not the answer and B was not the answer. So I'm not going to spend time going over why A is correct or B is incorrect, because nobody does. And instead, I'm going to try to uncover what is the issue that caused students to pick C. And maybe the rationale leads me to understand that, maybe it doesn't. But it can give you some sense of why students pick that, and you can again find out which students those are. Finally, I'm going to go over to the progress dashboard, and I'm going to load this for my biology class. And you can see here that I have period 1, period 2, period 7. I have given the unit 3 progress check only to period 1. You can see I'm slacking with period 2. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we had some stuff going on, but I need to go back and give that. I can also click here and I can see the overall performance of the students on this particular progress check. I can click here, it will take me to that directly. I can also expand, and now I can see how my students are doing, right? So I can know that George Hollings is making some progress, but Charles Kalikman over here maybe is having some difficulties, like he's maybe not progressing in the way you'd like him to. So this will kind of give you a breakdown on how students are performing across progress checks. And again, you can click and the exact score and out of how many points. You can also look at participation. So if I click here, it will actually tell me my class has 20 students. I know that here it will say 20 students took it, how many points were awarded. you can see how this works out. You can see how the number of points possible here. So you can see quite a bit of information. You can also sort in different ways. So I can sort, I'm going to take the participation off. I can sort by Unit 1. I can sort by Unit 2. We'll get different information here as well. You'll see here, it looks like it's out of order, but this is the whole summary for my class. And then after that, it will actually give me all of my students in descending order. If I wanted in ascending order, it will be this way. Just so you know, Progress Dashboard is only for personal progress checks because it is meant to test progress, not just performance. So that's really what we're looking for here, trends in progress, not necessarily trends in performance. And that pretty much is kind of the nuts and bolts. Again, you know, you do have your question bank, and you can play around with this as you see fit. You can apply whatever filters that you find you want to search questions for, and make assessments. But again, we would urge you to save the question bank usage and the summative questions. Reminder, summative is here, and all of the options of where a summative question could have come from. Are they're more appropriate at the end of the year. If you are going to use it at the beginning of the year, you have to be very careful about whether or not you've covered both the content and the skill, and that students are actually ready for that question. It also could be that the summative question was tagged to a topic and a skill, but there are other hidden topics or skills in there, because remember, in a lot of cases, some of these questions have been around for a while when the framework was not what it is now, and we've kind of retrofitted the questions into our new framework. So it may not be a perfect alignment, and you'll have to still preview the question and see whether or not students are ready for that question. So we encourage you not just to add questions to an assessment for your students just because you've covered the content, and really take a good look at them to make sure your students are ready. Well, I want to thank you all for, hopefully you've made it this far, and thank you for joining us. You know, please do reach out to the College Board should you have any questions. Our customer service folks are always happy to help, but please do make use of the help information that is available to you here. We promise that there are people on the other end of the line who are ready and able and very willing to help. It may not be immediate, but we will get to you, and you know, we really want to hear what you think about our tools, so feel free to leave us some feedback as well. Here's wishing you and your students all the best for a successful school year, and good luck, and thank you again for joining us.